Experience the I Am Melanin Magic difference by going to our website www.IamMelaninMagic.com and purchasing your products today. I am Melanin Magic, and so are you. Welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. I am your host for today. If you are new to the channel, welcome home. Don't forget to give this channel a thumbs up, like, and most definitely subscribe and share if you choose. If you are coming back and you're one of the OGs, you're one of my kindred spirits, thank you so much for returning to the channel. I love you all. Shout out to all of you. Sometimes I remember specific names, Kina Bell, Monica, the beautiful Armada, Priscilla, who, by the way, Priscilla, I did an interview with her today, or a discussion session where we talked about henna. So stay tuned for that video. It will post, that video should likely post by Sunday, late Saturday night or Sunday. She gave some amazing tips. She's been doing henna for years on her own hair. She's gotten fabulous results, and I think it's high time that I return to my henna days. So I also am getting ready to take the plunge because I need to go back red, and I need it to be permanent this time. So anyway, welcome to the channel, welcome to the channel, welcome to the channel. The content for today's video, the source for the idea is coming from the beautiful TTH715, who left a comment on this channel 7 days ago, and I felt it was definitely worthy of a dive in. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't purchased my book, I keep wanting to say I am Melanin Magic, because I am Melanin Magic and so are you. But this is manifesting your masterpiece. Doing these things is what continues to help me to continue to not only grow in my personal self-development, but also grow in my entrepreneurial endeavors. That book is by and large a reflection of the journey that I've been on and the journey that I am still on. It is not a chapter book. It is a collection of daily mindset reflections and things that I feel, if you shine the light of awareness on, can help you move to get that larger slice of life. Okay, so this is a very interesting comment. And I encourage you all to always comment, share the things that matter to you with regard to this journey. Also know that everybody's journey is different. Neither of us is a carbon copy of the other. The things that I share to you on this channel are my experiences. They also are a synthesis and assimilation and an assimilation of many of the commentary that I have gotten by way of feedback from you guys, either on this channel or by way of personal outreach. This is a very important journey that we're on, because it's more than just about our hair. But as we take the deep dive and the plunge into tiny locks, Microlocks, Sisterlocks, whatever it is you choose to call these beautiful strands that do their own thing, it's important to understand what the risks of this particular lifestyle are, because it's usually not a hairstyle when you choose to do it. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you chose to do because you wanted to free yourself from the tyranny of hair enslavement. You wanted to experience abundance in hair, and you wanted to just be able to be more free form in your journey through life, whether it was a spiritual journey or whether it's really just about the hair for you. It's something that usually when you decide to do it, you don't do it with the idea that you're going to have to give up the journey at some point. You do it because you love the hairstyle and you want to be able to keep it forever. And so what I like to talk about on this channel are things that increase the longevity of you being able to maintain this hairstyle. I'm in it right along with you. I'm past the decade mark, which according to some people may put me at greater risk of hair loss. So I'm trying to do everything that I can, in addition to fortifying my hair with I Am Melanin Magic, which you should as well. You can find that information in the description. But I'm trying to do what I can to catch things before they become problematic. So I'm constantly investigating and experiencing different things and trying to do what I feel is going to allow me more, I guess, help me to go deeper within this journey and not just be at a superficial level, but also give me the kind of autonomy over my hair that I need in order to be able to examine what's actually going on with my hair. I tell y'all all the time, you have to fully participate in your own rescue. You can't just turn your hair over to somebody and go on about your business. You can't just trust what they say. You have to inspect what you expect. And this comment here underscores that exact point. I'm going to read the comment in its entirety before I actually engage TTH 715. I'm curious and hope someone will answer this. I'm 1 year, 1 month into my Sisterlock journey. I got my hair retied by my new loctician on Monday, October the 24th, 2022. This is when I learned that the 516 locks I was established with were now 468 locks. I had a conversation with my former loctician during my establishment and during my second retie, in which I informed her that I wanted to be involved with any decisions about combining my locks and be made aware of any issues seen. She assured me that that would be the case. Clearly, it has not. Is this common or normal for a consultant to combine 48 locks without the client's knowledge? It seems excessive, and she only admitted to the 3 I've actually found because she only combined the roots and not the entire lock. Here I'm thinking my locks had matted together and I'm trying to separate them, not knowing that they were purposely combined without my knowledge. I've also had a lot of thinning in the middle of several locks and have even had 3 that I'm aware of to break off at the root. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to dig in. I'm going to try to pick piece by piece and let you know where my thinking is and what I've come up with as I'm looking at this. I wasn't totally clear, TTH 715, because you said I wasn't clear on if it's the current loctician you're dealing with or who is actually doing your locks and who you're holding responsible for the marrying. I see you said you had a conversation with your former loctician during your establishment, former implying that that person that established your locks is not the one that's currently in charge of your locks. Or if you may not have someone in charge of your locks currently because maybe you've taken over them on your own. But I wasn't sure if we're dealing with 2 locticians here, a current person that's maintaining your hair or the former one. Either way, there's some concerns because going from 516 locks down to 468 locks, that's almost 50 locks. That's approximately 50 locks. That's a hell of a lot to be going on in just a year and a half. So my first question is, first of all, that's a lot to be going on and that's a lot not to notice. But I can see how that can happen because that's what I talk about on this channel. Us sitting in that chair, allowing them to do our hair and trusting that they're doing our hair. The fact that you have 500 or you had 516 locks, that's a lot of locks, and it would be easy if you were not paying attention to not necessarily notice what was actually happening. So I can see how that could get by you to a point. Depending upon the volume of your hair, the relationship you have with your loctician, the fact that you're very clearly new in the journey. That's a lot of daggone locks. Oh, she said I got my hair retied by my new loctician on October 24th. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. How did I miss that? Was I not conscious while I was reading? So the new loctician, and through that experience, you've been informed that you only have 468 locks. And this was after having gone to someone who had maintained your hair for the better part of your journey and her assuring you that she would not do anything to your hair unless she got your consent or unless you were informed. That is something that we all have to take very seriously. Not only do we have to let them know that we want to know what's going on with our hair, but apparently we also need to, at regular intervals, if you have a problematic situation at regular intervals, you need to talk to your loctician consultant at the end of each session and ask for the state of the union. You've heard me speak about the state of the union on more than one occasion. The status of what's going on with my hair. For some people, you may have to get even more specific. Did I have a lot of new growth that you had to add into the lock? Did you see any thinning on any locks? Did you marry a lock? Okay? That's big. All right. So this is serious. Is it normal for a consultant to combine 48 locks without the client's knowledge? I would like to say no to that. But it's also not normal for a loctician to put crazy glue in somebody's hair to keep a hair from slipping. It's also not normal for a loctician to charge you for 12 inches of hair and not lock 4 inches and not make the price adjustment at the end. We have got to understand, everybody, me included, because y'all know about the debacle I had in Macon, where when I left out of there, I had 6 married locks. All right. And the way that it was done, it was more or less not the intent to combine locks deliberately, but a sloppy way of retightening where, because my locks are so small, she drew in hair from other locks and didn't remedy that situation. Either way, my locks were combined, and I had to bring my daughter Naima down here over the weekend to unmarry or uncombine my locks. This to me is heinous. It's heinous because it's professional negligence, and it shows a lack of regard for your autonomy to participate in any decisions that are made. It shows professional negligence due to an inability for her to interact with you or intercourse with you, or to come to a consensus about whether or not you even want them married. Because then this leads me to the next thing, which is a concern, which is, why were they married in the first place? I'm going to assume, until you tell me differently, that for that number of locks to be married, it'd have to be one of two things. Now, we live in a quantum universe. There are infinite possibilities. So this is just two I'm pulling out. Either it was too many locks and she didn't want to have to keep retightening retightening that number of locks, or your locks were thinning and she did it as a remedy to the thinning. All right. The only way to know is to ask that person, which at this stage of the game, she's probably not going to be forthcoming because she's not your loctician anymore. And there must be a reason why she's former now. She's no longer your current loctician. This to me should never be done without your knowledge. There's nothing that gets done on our bodies which should be done without our knowledge and without our consent. I don't think that that's right. I think marrying is a big deal because, first of all, we have to examine, why are we marrying? Are we marrying because my locks are too thin, which I could concede to within reason? Or are we marrying because you just haphazardly going through and locks are being combined because you're not taking the time to straighten the parts and to straighten the grid and the hair? Or are we marrying because, hell, I got over 500 locks and you don't have time to retighten my hair and you're just sick of having to do all of that work, and so each time you marry a few more locks, then the next time I come you have less work to do? Like, what is the reason? No, it is not normal, I don't think. Is it becoming more common? Yes. Is it something that we have to educate our locticians about at the ground roots level? Yes. Here's the thing. If one or two of us are speaking out, we can't raise awareness. But if all of us are sitting in chairs and we're having these conversations and we're raising awareness, then we begin to change the disposition of locticians over time to provide a higher level of service because we are demanding it. We're demanding it because we trust them with our hair. We're demanding it because many of them, we love them. We have a relationship with them. We want to be more than just an hourly payment or a project payment. We want them to take us in and keep our hair healthy. To lose 1 lock, 2 lock, 3 locks, or 4 locks is the same to me sometimes as losing 10, 11, 12, or 13, depending upon the circumstances. If it's a choice that I make to clip a lock because I'm continuing to pick it and pick it and pick it, and I know I'm thinning it, and then I just pull it off because maybe I can use an extension up here somewhere where I'm creating a new lock, I'm in charge of that. That's something I did. I get to make that choice. But for someone else to cause me to lose a lock and either to hide it or to minimize it or to be disregardful of it and minimizing it, that's a problem to me because I want to know, what are the circumstances surrounding the loss of my baby? What are the circumstances why you chose to marry? Are there other locks in that area that are a concern? How did that particular lock affect the grid? Did you marry it with one above it, below it, to the left, to the right? These are things I want to know. What is causing you to feel like we need to marry it at this stage? Did you see this lock the last 3 times I came in? Do you think that we could do some nutritive balancing to help me grow more hair in that area so I can thicken that lock and not have you marry it? Of course, as I digress, just to say this along in defense of that, or in defense of holding on to the lock before you marry it, is that you know that you will still have some thinning. Once you do thicken the base up, you will eventually still have some thinning in the middle, but it may not snap. But back at the ranch, no, it's not normal. It's not normal at all, and it shouldn't be common. Although, based on the feedback I'm getting from a lot of you all, it's becoming more common, which means that we have to hold our locticians to a higher standard. We can't just be quiet about this. We have to be more proactive. If you have a situation where you leave a loctician and that happens, you may decide you want to do a review. That's up to you. You may decide you want to have a conversation with this person. That will be my first line, is to have a conversation with this person. I was told in response to my marriages that something along the lines of, well, you know, I've only been doing this for such and such amount of time, and I'm sure I'll become the best loctician in the country after a few years. No acknowledgement of the fact that you married my locks. And if you, with that type of arrogance, no, you're not going to become the best loctician in the country after a number of years, because you're not even acknowledging that something really serious was done to my locks. While you may not take my lock journey seriously, I damn well do, because I haven't been in this 10 plus years to be losing my locks. And if I lose my locks, let it be due to the fact of my own negligence or my failure to intercede with something that my loctician is doing that I know is a concern. Let it be one of those two things, which means I took my hands off the steering wheel and I'm failing to participate actively in my own rescue. Let that be the reason I can stomach that. But negligence, disregard, minimizing my concerns, doing things without my permission, So then we have you to say, it seems excessive, and she only admitted to the 3 I've actually found because she only combined the roots and not the entire lock. Now that's interesting to me, because I'm not sure how she would have combined the whole lock except to go through and sew them together all the way from the top all the way down, which would take quite a bit of time doing a standard retightening, depending upon how long your locks were. It's still going to take more time for someone to marry them at more than the root, and then to find and go within the strands and connect them all the way down, which can be done, but most people will allow a dragon head to exist, meaning they combine it from the root and then they just let the lock stay separate. And over time, as the hair continues to grow out, you have more of the hair that is combined, and eventually it can overtake the length of the dragon heads. Now, this is what I'm saying about that. Because this sounds so out of balance to me. This is really a trip, and I'm really sorry about what happened with your hair. She's only admitting the 3 because of what? She's saying she didn't combine them all the way down. She only combined them at the root. That doesn't make sense, because your average loctician who is this trifling and is not even going to tell you what she's doing, and you don't even know if she's doing it to save time or why she's marrying them, she's not going to spend the extra time to care for your hair enough to go ahead and combine the lock all the way down. And my idea of marrying, I'm not sure I would combine both of them all the way down anyway, if that's even feasible. Even as they started to grow more into one lock, knowing me, I probably snap one of the locks. This is me. I'm not saying this applies to you. And I use that lock as an extension or starter lock somewhere else in my head. Because all you're doing, you're still dealing with the same amount of weight. If you're having to marry, it's because your hair is thinning more than likely, and you want to reduce the weight. So I don't see the point, once the hair is secure, in keeping that separate piece of hair for the sake of keeping it. I would find some way to secure it, and then I would just snip it off. In some cases, depending upon how it's growing, all you have to do is snip it off. So that's a concern to me. I really and wondering also how that happened. Clearly you trusted her and she abused the trust, because by the time you get to 10 or 11 or 12 or 15 or 20 or however many, there's a problem with the installation that's causing you to have to marry, or there's a problem with how you're caring for your hair that's causing her to have to marry, in which case either of those situations you are to be consulted. Even if it's, TTH 715, I'm having to combine your locks. I think when you're shampooing your hair, you're pulling too much, you're losing hair, whatever it is. Or I'm noticing I installed your locks too thin and it's only been a year, and so we need to combine some of them. If you're able to come back in the comments, let us know. Do you have average density hair? Is it thin? Is it fine? Do you think she was combining because your hair was actually thinning and there was a reason? What are you inclined to think? Ultimately, why did you leave that loctician? Because apparently you didn't find out about the combination or the marriage until you got to the new loctician. So what were the grounds upon which you left this previous loctician anyway, if I'm reading correctly? And she's only admitted to 3. And you were thinking that the locks matted together in a year. And I don't know, your hair texture could be different than mine. Again, all I can talk about on this channel, you guys, sisters, is my experience. But it would take a lot for 2 of my locks to legitimately mat together. Because of the length, I would definitely see it. And what would really be matting together would be what's coming out of the new growth. That's going to be locked together. These 2 dragon heads would take a hell of a lot to mat together over time. And I mean, it would take a long, long, long time. Most people have a hard enough time in the establishment of their locks and getting them to lock, not to mention what it would take for 2 of your locks to lock together beyond at the root where the hair is growing in new. So that's why I'm asking. I would love to speak with you. Please, if you could give me a call, 678-438-6442. I would love to get you on the channel and speak with you about this so I could get a little bit more clarity, because there's a little bit of ambiguity with regard, and I don't want to draw the wrong conclusion, but for a lock to mat together like that, it's going to take a lot. Even Sophia has, my daughter has traditional locks, Ronnie, and they're a lot thicker. And I think she combined 1 or 2 or something like that early on. And those locks are combined at the area from the root and the growth as it grows out combined. But the separate locks you can still see on the bottom. So for her to admit to only combining 3 doesn't make sense. And she's using her as the basis for saying that she only combined the root to not the entire lock. Okay, then that would imply that she's a loctician who combines at the root and then she'll go down and combine the whole lock. That's new to me. I believe it can be done. I mean, hell, I can do that with a sewing needle. If it's for the purpose of combining them, I can use my craft needle and actually lock the hair and combine that on some level. But I would think you would still need to introduce something that would bring it together, like a piece of thread or a thin piece of hair or something or other, unless there's some other way. I don't know everything, let me know. But either way, it's still marrying the lock. She still has to take responsibility for combining all of them. And you say you're trying to separate them. You were trying to separate them, not knowing that they were purposely combined without your knowledge. That is awful. T, I'm sorry. I've also had a lot of thinning in the middle of several locks. And all of this is happening within the first 1.5 years of you having locks. That's a lot of trauma in a short amount of time. I've also had a lot of thinning in the middle of several locks and have even had 3 that you're aware of to break off at the root. Whoa. Why are the locks breaking off at the root, y'all? Chime in and leave your expertise in the comment section. To me, and I'm limited, only my experiences, a lock is going to break off at the root if the root is weak. either by thinning or excessive pulling during a session to where it just finally breaks off. Now, obviously color and all these other things can thin it, but for it to just fall out, like I've never just lost a lock in what, 12 years, however long I had them, 11, 12, 13 years. I need to get the numbers right. I think it's probably 12, 13. I've never had a lock to just fall out at the root. If my lock fell off at the root, I'd have to assume that it was that thin and I was pulling and it just came out, which meant that the hair was weak. Now, the hair is weak prior to it thinning. So I'd have to examine, why is it thinning and why is my hair weak? But here we are. She's trying to say, this woman who's doing your hair is trying to say that she only married 3, and you know you have almost 50 less locks than what you started out with, and it's only been a year. This is a lot to be going on during a year and a half. I hope that you have been able to be fortunate enough to find another loctician who can really care for your hair and who can give you more than what this other lady gave you. And I sure would love it. I hate to say this, y'all. I don't want to be the person that does this type of thing. And I have to really think about this. But this is serious. We almost need a database of these people who are doing this sort of thing. Let me know what y'all think about this. We almost need people need to know this is not the same as going to get a filling is serious when somebody messes that up. I had that happen to me. It's not the same as having your eyebrows plucked out the wrong way or getting a bad pedicure. When people make mistakes in our hair, notwithstanding some of the things that we may have done, but when they make mistakes in our hair, you pay for it for years to come. And multiple mistakes can end your Sisterlocks journey. I'm serious. Like, this is serious. So it's almost getting to the point to where we're having greater degrees of negligence. And don't get me wrong, we got some wonderful locticians out here, y'all. I have 2 wonderful locticians, but all of them are not that good, and all of them don't care about hair. All of them are not in this because they love servicing you and they love creating beauty and making you beautiful or making you feel beautiful. Everybody's not in it for the same reason. And so you got to really, really do your homework. And everything can't be dealt with on the front end. I have lots of videos about getting your Sisterlocks installed and how to prepare and the questions to ask the loctician and the things to look out for. And I'll continue to do those to help you be proactive. But oftentimes, I would say the other half of time, you're going to find out when you're sitting in this person's chair. And you're not going to find out if you're sitting in the chair reading a magazine and 1, you're not paying attention to what's going on during that entire retightening session, or number 2, you are not checking your hair when you go home. If I was out here today and I'm dealing with some of these people today, you better believe I got to get up and go to the bathroom several times during the retie because I need to check what's going on with my hair. Or I need to be there with my mirror and I need to pay attention to what's going on. Or I need to consistently reiterate, please let me know if there is a lock that you feel that you need to marry. I want to take a look at that lock beforehand. And don't feel shy to ask that loctician to take a picture of it so that you can see what's going on, so that you can feel that lock. But what is going to be the greatest deterrent to all of these issues related to the sloppy way in which some of these locticians are dealing with your hair is for you yourself, like you hear me say, y'all, say it, somebody put it in the comments, being an active participant in your own rescue. You gotta be proactive. You gotta be checking your hair on the front end and paying attention to what's going on. There is no reason under the sun that you should have a situation where I'm trying to get back to the comment, my phone locked, that you have to have someone justifying that they only did 3 locks when you know you're 50 locks short. And she combined that many locks. Or the numbers could be different because you said you started out with 468 and now you have, what did you say, 516. So technically, you start out with 516 and now you have 468. So in literal terms, you are what? 44, I can't do the math, 48 locks short. let me see, 48. Yeah, you're 48 locks short of what you used to have. That's a big number. That's a big number. And for her to say she only admitted to 3 because she doesn't consider just combining the root the same as combining the whole lock. So what I want to ask you to do, or what I want to challenge you to do, is to let us know what you feel you can do moving into this new relationship with your new loctician to help minimize some of this. Is there anything at all that you feel you can do going into this next relationship at all? I'm just wondering how long your locks were as well, because I imagine it would be easier for someone to do this if you had shorter locks. I think I would notice it on my locks, because if she were combining the length of my lock, she would be way down here in my hair, and I would know that she's not up here, so I would be able to look. But when you have shorter locks, I imagine that would be a little bit more difficult as well. I am sorry to hear this. Locks breaking off at the root, 48, I guess, 44, whatever the number was a minute ago we just stated. That number of locks, 48 locks being combined, that's a whole lot of trauma for a year and 1 month into your journey. I want to ask, was she a certified Sisterlocks loctician, or was she just someone who is just doing hair and is experienced with hair? Is she also a cosmetologist? Not that that always makes a difference, because that doesn't, you can have a cosmetologist or a so-called master loctician or ambassador that can mess your hair up just as bad. But I wanted to get a little bit more background information. Again, if you could reach out to me, I would appreciate it. I'm going to put your name in the title, hoping that you'll see this video and that we can talk about this, all right? You can give me a text, shoot me a text rather than call, and let me know who you are, and then we can set up some time to talk. Thank you so much. For those of you who are out there in the peanut gallery, in the comments, please chime in and give us your thoughts on how a loctician goes from 516 locks to 468. And her defense is that she only combined 3 because those are the only ones that she combined at the root, and not the entire lock. That just sounds crazy to me. That just sounds crazy to me. And you thought your locks were matted together, and I can see how that can happen. I can see how that can happen. I am so sorry about your experience. Please chime in, and we're keeping you in our thoughts. And watch out for the next person, and make sure you do your due diligence on the front end, and that you talk with her about this. And that clearly it's through her that you're realizing this. So she may be someone who's on top of things, or she may be someone that you can trust a bit more. I wish you the absolute best. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Bye, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
If you are not using I Am Melanin Magic hair oil, then what are you using?
Hey guys, so I started using this oil called I Am Melanin Magic since February of this year, and check out the new growth. Like, it's insane. Not only did it help with my new growth, but it smells amazing too.
See the dramatic improvements Denisha has made after not having hair around her edges for 3 years. Tanya's hair had been like this for almost 20 years, and while getting injections. Her doctor said it was scarred and would never grow back. After 4 weeks of using I Am Melanin Magic, this is what she looked like. I Am Melanin Magic did this to Danette's hair after a short time. Hi, I'm the creator of the I Am Melanin Magic hair and skincare brand. My vision has always been to develop a line of products that meets the unique needs of melanated people. The I Am Melanin Magic hair oil is our premier product. It is the leading high-end supplement for your mane.
It reduces breakage, promotes growth, and can be used on all hair types and looks, from straightened hair and microlocks to wigs and protective styles. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and anti-funk, so you know you're protected.
It softens and conditions your hair, and it's anti-frizz too.
This really is all you need. It's rich with antioxidants,
loaded with growth promoting ingredients. Look at the growth of my hair. The proof is in the product. Need I say more? Don't delay. Purchase yours today.
I am Melanin Magic, and so are you.